All right, everyone. Welcome back to the channel, All Wings Everything, and I am your cook, Spinelli. In today's video, we got a great recipe. It's what I call my wild honey buffalo wings. Now, what makes this recipe just a little bit different from my previous videos is that we're going to incorporate the slow cooker when cooking the wings in this video. But we're also going to use the oven too. But the primary part is slow cooking the wings first. So what I need for you guys to do is get to that kitchen right now. Put on your apron, get ready, pay attention, and we're about to make some of the best wings you've ever tasted in your life. Let's go. I'll see you guys on the other side. Here we have all the ingredients we're going to use in today's recipe. So let's start. We have our chicken. We have our paprika. We're going to use some Frank's red hot sauce. We're going to use black pepper, chili powder, kosher salt, butter, honey, onion powder, garlic powder, molasses, cumin, basil leaves, and brown sugar. So here we go. We have everything to get started. So let's go. Let's move to the next step. Okay, so I've already measured out the ingredients again to make it easier as we go through this recipe. So the first thing I'm going to start with is we're going to have to season the chicken. So what we're going to use to season the chicken is we're going to use 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1.5 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder, and 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, ground cumin 1 teaspoon, and 1 teaspoon of basil leaves. And this is what we're going to use to season the chicken. In terms of the honey buffalo sauce, we're going to use 3/4 cups of Frank's hot sauce. We're going to use a 1/2 cup of honey and 1 tablespoon of melted butter and 1 tablespoon of molasses. So this is what we're going to use to make this sauce for the chicken. And let's move on to the next step. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to combine our seasoning into one bowl. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the onion powder and add it to our bowl. Next, we're going to take the garlic powder and add it. Take our basil leaves and add the basil leaves. Next, we're going to take our brown sugar and add it. Next, our paprika. The chili powder. The cumin. The black pepper. And lastly, our kosher salt. Now you can mix all the ingredients and blend them together well. The brown sugar is probably going to have a few lumps in it, so you want to make sure you press out the lumps of the brown sugar. So stir for about maybe one minute. And once you've done that, we can move on to the next step. All right, so now we're going to use that seasoned blend to season the chicken. So what you want to do is you don't have to use all of the seasoned blend. I'm using maybe about 2.5 tablespoons. It just depends on how much chicken you have. But I think about 2.5 tablespoons is good for the amount of chicken I have. So once you've sprinkled your season onto the chicken, make sure you mix it well. Make sure all the chicken is coated in the seasoning. Let's see here, I'm using a little bit more. Like I said, it came out to be about 2.5 tablespoons that I used. You know I like my chicken seasoned very well. I am not going to eat any bland chicken. So continue to mix and massage the seasoning into the chicken. And as you can see, it looks well seasoned. So let's move on to our next step. Okay, so in this step, what we're going to do is we're going to prepare the sauce. What we're going to do is we're going to take the ingredients that we have and we're going to combine them all together. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've already melted my butter, so I'm going to pour the melted butter into the bowl with the hot sauce. Then I'm going to take my molasses and add it to the bowl. Next, you want to take your honey and pour your honey into the bowl also. And once you've added your honey, you want to mix it well, combining all the ingredients. So stir it for about 1 to 2 minutes to make sure that it's all combined. And what's going to happen is the sauce is going to turn a darkish color, and that's because of the molasses. And once you've done that, we can move on to our next step. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some olive oil cooking spray and just spray our crock pot. Doesn't seem like this was a good angle to do that. But oh well. So what we want to do is we want to take our chicken and we want to add it to the crock pot. And try to make sure, if your crock pot is big enough, try to make sure that you place each piece of chicken evenly at the bottom. If you can, try not to have them on top of each other. And once you've added your chicken, we can move on to the next step. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our prepared sauce, and what we want to do is we want to pour the sauce evenly over the wings in the crock pot. Make sure all the chicken is covered in the sauce. So grab the lid and cover the crock pot, and we're going to let this cook for 3.5 hours on low heat. So let's move on to the next step. All right, so now the wings have been in here for about 1.5 hours. So I just want to let you guys take a look at it and see the progress. As you can see, they are starting to simmer in the crock pot. So we got about another 2 hours left before they're done. So let's continue to cook them, and we'll check back with them in a second. All right, let's move to the next step. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to spray our pan with cooking spray. And as you can see, I've lined the pan with aluminum foil. Last time my pan got a little messy, so I don't want to do that this time. So Line your pan with aluminum foil. That way it helps with the cleanup. So let's move on to the next step. All right. The 3.5 hours are up and the wings are ready. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take them out of the crock pot, put them on a pan, because as you know, cooking chicken in the crock pot, the skin is soft, which I don't like my skin soft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add them to this pan and we're going to cook them a little bit longer inside the oven. So remove the wings from the crock pot and place them onto a pan. Be careful of removing them that you don't tear the chicken or the meat from the bone. So you want to be careful as you remove the chicken from the crock pot. All right, now take a look at these. They're already starting to look good and tasty. So, okay, so let's move on to the next step and let me show you what we're going to do next. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some cornstarch and some water. So generally what I use about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and about 2 tablespoons of water. And what I do is I combine the water into the cornstarch and mix it well to create this this milky substance. And of course I use this to thicken the sauce. You don't want to use too much, so you want to kind of gauge how much you pour into your pan to thicken the sauce. So combine it, mix it gently, and we'll move on to the next step. So the next thing you want to do is you want to take the sauce that was left over into the crock pot, pour it into a pan. And what you're going to do next is you're going to add your cornstarch and water that you've already combined, and you're going to add it to the sauce and simmer it for about 5 minutes until it thickens. And once it thickens, we'll move on to the next step. So what I did, I removed my chicken from the pan because what I decided I wanted to do first before I placed them in the oven is, once the sauce thickens, what I want to do is I want to place my chicken into the sauce, and then I want to place it on my pan. I want the sauce to be caramelized when I bake it. So dip it into the sauce and then place it into the oven. This is going to make the chicken and the flavor that much better. So do all the pieces like that, and then once you've done all the pieces, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, after you've coated all the pieces of your wings into the sauce, the next thing you want to do is you want to make sure your oven is preheated to 450, and you're going to put that pan into the oven and let it bake for 10 minutes. And after the first 5 minutes, what you're going to do is you're going to turn those wings over and let them bake for the remainder 5 minutes. Okay, so now the wings have been in here for 5 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip them over and let them cook the remaining 5 minutes on the other side. And once we do that, we'll take the wings out and we'll continue on with the next step. Okay, so now the wings are ready. We're going to pull them out the oven and take a look at them. What do you guys think about them? As you can see, the sauce has kind of caramelized onto the wings where it's like a sticky, saucy type texture, which is what I like. Looks great. Great color. All right. I'm getting hungry already just by looking at them. So tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you think about these wings. All right, guys, you know what the next step is. It's time to transfer these wings from the pan onto the plate. If you like real saucy wings, these are going to be especially for you. These wings are saucy. They're pretty crispy also. And one thing, as you can see with that one, the meat kind of just falls right off the bone, so which is great, which typically happens when you cook meats in a crock pot. They smell good too, folks. I don't know if you can smell it through the through your phone or your computer, but these things smell real good. So take a look at that. You already know what I'm gonna say. These are good groceries. These are good groceries. All right, it's time to try out these wings to make sure they taste just as good as they look. So I'm gonna end this video. I'm glad you guys stayed with me, and I really wish you were here to taste these wings for me, because I do have some extras. So until the next video, I'll see you guys later. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. You saw for yourself the wings came out great, but you didn't get to taste them like I tasted them, and they did taste great also. So I know you're gonna try this recipe out at home, and when you do, feel free to share your results with me. I really want to know how it turned out for you and if I can help you out along the way. Also, if you liked the video, hit that like button. If you hadn't subscribed to my channel, do so right now. Stop right now what you're doing and subscribe to my channel so you can be alerted every time I release a video. And if you have any friends that you think may enjoy this video, share it with them. And until next time, I'm glad you guys stopped in. All Wings Everything, your cook, your boy, Spinelli. I'm out. Peace.
Everybody stand up. Introducing the one and only, the most anticipated and highly underrated